G'day folks, welcome to Stuff and Such. I threw on my special cowboy hat for you all. I wanted to look authentic for you. So we're right now in our area of northern Ontario. We're entering into early fall. I don't know if you can see in any of the pictures here. But over here, I'll show you in a second, is the maple leaves are all changing nice. That's orange and red, beautiful colors before they all fall and go to sleep for the winter. So right now, the reason I'm feeding a bit of hay is there's a bunch of reasons why I'm doing it. So let's see if I can name a few off the top of my head. So first, number one is this is all around me and behind you, 15 acres, is our main pasture system. And 2 years ago, it was like full-on bush. So, move my mic here. It was full-on bush. So we don't really have too much grasses mature and established. So, number one reason why I'm feeding hay is, quite frankly, our pastures are almost depleted. Number two is I'm feeding hay is it gives the existing plants that are already here a break from the eating critters, and which will lead into kind of three. What someone's question might be, well, why don't you just lock them out and not let them into that pastures so that it can recover? And that is why I'm feeding hay. One of my reasons. So with this hay here, it is of older quality. So what that would mean is that the hay has gone to seed, and so now throughout this entire bale is seed. Are you on the right side, sheep? It'd be close. Hopefully I don't have to chase sheep. That'd be a first. But anyways, as I was sort of trying to say, is that so this hay has gone to seed. I'll see if I can find a couple. There's one. So here we have Timothy. And it'd be kind of hard to find the other one. Hi, Maisie. So here's a bad example. This is only two that I could find at the moment. This hat's really small. Go a little Jed clamp it maybe, or maybe tell sack it. You know, what should I go with? Jed or tell? So, anyways, in that Timothy, I don't know if it'll focus, is a whole bunch of seed. So anyways, now I gotta get serious. The cows, as you can see, are eating it. They ingest it, then they go out and look for a little bit of forage, of green forage, because it is better tasting. And they'll go and take a dump over there and then grow the stuff that we got from the hay. Another reason is, as you can, I'll grab you right now. As you can see, the ground, we have no topsoil here. In the Canadian Shield, well, most of our topsoil was scratched off by glaciers and brought up to or down to the States and gave it to them. So as soon as I cleared here, you basically have no real topsoil and you're straight into clay, as you can see, like under these trees and stuff. So that kind of brings into the other reason, is it adds carbon onto the farm, which will then allow a root base to start. Isn't this the cutest little calf? Look at her. Hey, Maisie. Anyways, let's stay focused. So there's kind of like two different kinds of bale grazing. There's like just feeding hay, like right now, and then there's winter bale grazing, where you go and put your bales out. They both sort of serve the same and separate purposes. Let me kind of just talk about that. So in this area, we tend to get 2 to 3 to 4 feet of snow, and that means the cows don't really want to go anywhere. So when I come out in the wintertime, I'll drop a bale, plop. The cows will all gather around like now, but then they won't really go anywhere. They'll have their little trails that go to the water trough and then back, and then they sleep on usually the old bale. Typically we use bale rings. Right now it's kind of whatever, I don't care. Summer though, that is when you'll see more that distribution of the urine and the manure, and as they go out and continually expand, and and yeah. So we got seeding, we got compost, and number 3 would be is by taking the pressure off these plants this time of year, it allows them to recover a bit and sink the roots a little further down. Because it kind of seems like plants are sort of like, I don't know what you'd think of it. Think of it like a balloon. You have a balloon, you pinch it and pull it apart. The more above ground you have, the more you have below ground. But then if you continually pound it with graze, and especially sheep, they're bad. They really pull her to the ground. Your roots get shorter and shorter and shorter because it doesn't have the leaves to gather in the sun and put that energy into the ground and start that circle. So by feeding hay now, it takes some of that pre-winter strain off the plant and allows them to hopefully come back stronger in the spring and faster. So now I'm going to take you around to a few of the locations that I bale seeded last winter. So that would be, say, 10 months ago to as close as, say, 7 months ago. And I'll bring you to a few of the little spots so you can see how much is broken down, what's been springing up, and what it's like beside those areas. Yeah, I'll quit yammering and let's go. So this area here, this is actually like 2 weeks ago, so simmer down. It's in this area we have a little bad section of Canadian thistle. So what I did is I dropped that bale directly into it, and that'll help bring this area more fertile. They say that Canadian thistle, it really springs up in areas that are lacking in nutrients. So it'll be interesting to see if that is proved true, because as you can see, there's lots of manure and compost on there now. So here we are on one of our first areas that was bale grazed. One of the first bales I put in this area. As you can see, nice lush bed of clover coming in. And then, and you can sort of see it's a nice circle. I do have some Canadian thistle right there. And then it fades out on both sides. And some nice lush clovers coming in. And then as soon as you get out of that area, then you're kind of back into bare ground again. Proceeding onward, I had kind of went about 50 feet or so before every next bale. So here we are coming up to our next bale, starting into more heavy clovers. There's some compost coming up. This one didn't do quite as good, but it's coming. Even here we have some hairy vetch starting. So then over here we have no bales. But you see all these little pockets of clover. So that would be a manure pile, or like where a cow went. And right here, right there. So what that's doing is introducing seed, fertilization, and urea to each area. Next bale, right here. See, it's coming in nice and lush. There is some weeds that'll creep in, but eventually we'll get a thick enough patch here we can rotationally graze and help that process. And then as soon as you fade out of it, we're into just almost bare ground. So this one, not quite as good. It's well grazed down. We have clovers coming in nice and hard too. Nice thing about clover, it will add nitrogen to the soil and make everything else grow better. So the second year is often better. Here's one you can really see. I don't know if you can, I don't know if the light's serving it for you or not, but you can really see the outline of the bale ring and then the manure ring around it. It was one of the later in the seasons. You can see how a lot of it is been consumed, both by the animals and the ground is eating it up too, making a nice seed bed for all these clovers and trefoils that are coming up too behind it. Here's a super good example. A cow come along, took a movement, and that patch is just flourishing. So folks, that's reasons I really like bale grazing. You can decide if it's something you would like to do or not. It has its pros and cons, but I find that you get lots of benefit for a pretty cheap price. In our area, you can have bales range from $25 to about $75, depending on the quality, and it's almost a benefit to buy the cheaper bales, or I guess it would be a benefit. I see no point in spending more, because oftentimes cheaper hay, oh, I better restart you. Oftentimes with cheap hay, it typically means it's old hay, which means it has lots of seed in it. So it doesn't quite have the same nutritional value, but it has has a lot of seeds, which are quite valuable, and it's something for them to munch on. I'm not trying to pack weight on them right now by feeding them hay. But anyways, that's a story for another day. Anyways, guys, we appreciate you tuning in. We'll catch you in the next one. Bye for now.